welcome to the ComiXology Originals interview series for Amazon's Virtual Con. My name is Kiwi, and I work for ComiXology, a cloud-based digital comic service with a massive library of comics, graphic novels, and manga. Today, I'm here with Johnnie Christmas, the writer of Crema, one of the newest graphic novel additions to the ComiXology Originals line of creator-owned digital content. Hi, Johnnie. Welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, Kiwi. Hey, everybody at home.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing
Yeah?
pretty good. Yeah, feeling good.
How has quarantine been for you? You're up in Canada, so it
Yeah,
might be a little different experience.
yeah. It's been quite calm here. Like we've already right now. I'm in BC, and we're moving into we're like in phase 3 right now. So it's
Nice.
really it's like pretty chill. Like I think we had like 12 cases yesterday or something like that.
Wow.
So
That's great.
So it's been pretty good.
Have you taken on any like new hobbies or anything while you've been in quarantine?
Uh, no, not really. No, actually, I've started like eating better and
Nice.
that sort of thing. Like
That's
it's
the
weird.
opposite for most.
Well, I did the first like couple months. Like it just did a slide, right? I just did
Yeah.
just like that fell apart, and then I hit
Yeah.
that point where I did I
You start
snapped
feeling
back.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm in the like we can do it triumphant mode, but
Right.
if this goes on in another 3 months, I'll be back down the other side of the mountain again. Just keep.
That's sort of like where I'm going to. It's like a high, high, low, low.
Yeah, just let it roll. Just
Exactly.
respect the.
So we're of course here to chat about your new graphic novel, Crema, which I have read obviously, and it is excellent. It encompasses some of my favorite things, obviously coffee, ghosts, and I'm a hopeless romantic. So that was also great to see. What inspired you to write this book?
Well, I was trying to. I've always wanted to write a romance, but I never really had the chance to, or I didn't think there was really room for it in like North American comics.
Yeah.
But luckily, ComiXology thought different, and they agreed to publish it when it was pitched as this haunted romance. And I thought I would have to like lean on the haunted part, but
Yeah.
I was very happy to hear a note saying like, oh no, we want go ahead and put more romance in. So that was very like heartening. And I also wanted to do a story about like coffee. Like I was kind of thinking about like I love coffee obviously, and
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking of how can I do a story about coffee and a coffee plantation. It was almost like a challenge of trying to hit a bunch of stuff that I liked, but making
Yeah.
it a cohesive story. So
Yeah.
it was like a art challenge, but also something that I was just like deeply in love with all elements of. So yeah, it was
Uh-huh.
just like love and craft kind of coming together.
Awesome. So Act 1, it's in 3 acts. Act 1 takes place in Brooklyn, where you went to school, like we were talking about before. And Act 2 and 3 take place in Brazil, where Dante is from, who obviously does an excellent job at the interiors.
Excellent.
So good. I was like, oh, okay. Was this a coincidence that, you took basically both of your lives and put them very much into this book?
Well, no. I I was thinking about Brazil, and then when Dante like was like presented, I was very happy that that especially after talking to him and finding out that he was like very keen on like, oh yeah, this will be great. I could tell a
Yeah.
story from where I'm from, and also add a lot to it, which was very helpful to me as a writer because I haven't been to Brazil. I was going to try to
Yeah.
go, but my deadlines just wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
So having Dante on the ground as an extra voice, and his
Right.
wife H was a consultant on the book as well.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, so having like two voices kind of like helping inform was super awesome. And so yeah, so it was in Brooklyn, obviously it's like very close to my heart. And
Yes.
so I wanted to bring together Brooklyn that and having that outsider view of someone who's never been to Brazil, leaving Brooklyn,
Right.
going into this whole new world. And also it's a world of like love and romance for Esme and Yara, and this whole world of intrigue and hauntings when they get to
Yes.
Brazil.
So how did you hook up with Dante, and how did that whole process work out?
Well, we originally had an editor on the book early on
Hmm.
who did the connection, because I was just kind of looking around for, you know, artists, just kind of thinking like, oh, and Dante was completely off my radar in terms of an artist for this. So then when I went and I saw his art, I was blown away, and at that point I was just like, please, 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 please let him yes to this book, because Dante, for those of you who don't know, does a lot of romance. So like it's keyed into his where it was new to me trying to figure out the beats and working in a world of romance. Dante is steeped in it, so it was awesome having uh, him on the book in that regard as well, in terms of the genre as well as the place. And so yeah, so it was a blind introduction, and so hopeful. I'm so lucky to have that happen. And the whole look of the book is
It's
Dante's
beautiful.
vision. Yeah, it's like it would have, you know, if me or someone else would have drawn it, it probably would have looked more dark, and like we probably would have leaned in a way that wasn't as hopeful and romantic. And the book
Right.
really needed Dante's voice to get it over and make it what it is.
Absolutely. Is this his first piece of sequential work?
I think it's his first big one.
Like
Um,
comic? Yeah.
yeah, I think I know he's done some stuff for anthologies, and he's done quite a bit of webcomics with his wife H, who's also a writer.
Gotcha.
Um, so he's worked, you know, quite a bit, but I think this might be his first in North America, aside from some anthologies for the TO Comics Collective in Toronto.
Gotcha. So what was it like working together, especially being so far apart? Obviously, we're getting all pretty good at doing this like virtual distance kind of thing. But how was it like working in completely different lands?
It wasn't as hard as one would think.
Yeah,
Also, working in collaborative comics, you're always working with people all over the
all
place.
over the
Like,
place. Yeah.
yeah, like, you know, I've worked with people who, you know, in Thailand and, you know, the UK, like all over the place. So it's kind of always, it's something that we're kind of used to. But
Hmm.
I was also, but you're also relieved when it works out, because you never know, right?
Right.
People's
Right.
time schedules and everything, like it could take them days to respond to you depending on their schedules. But it
Hmm.
was super easy working with Dante, and super upbeat, positive, responsive to changes and to notes. And so yeah, it was really easy. Dante
How
made it.
much do you provide him as far as like setting goes, or like tone of the scene or anything like that? Like what is the creative process like for you guys?
So I write full scripts. So I'll write everything that I intend into the
Uh-huh.
script. You know, like
Okay.
tone, time of day, color, treatment that we might want to use, especially with
Hmm.
this book broken down into 3 acts. I wanted the first act to feel a little kind of like wintry cold, and the others to be like a lot more like warm, because you know their love is blooming.
Right.
They've left
And they're
winter.
in Brazil.
They're in Brazil, right? And it's when it's summer there, it's winter
Hmm.
here, you know, that sort of thing. So we could play with all these things. So I'll put all that stuff into the script, but I'll also let it be known to Dante in this case, that he's the artist. Like, it's his
Right.
visual world. So everything I'm throwing in there uh, is what like a scriptwriter would give a film director.
Right.
But I let him know that it was ultimately, you know, that he had a lot of freedom to go ahead, and if he thinks something might work better,
Right.
to give it a shot, you know. And so that so there was quite a bit of freedom, but I make sure not to leave anybody with a bunch of questions. So I'll try and fill as much information as I
Yeah.
can to let them know that they can, you know, play with it a bit.
Right. So you're also an illustrator. You did the cover for this, which is
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
So how is balancing those two gifts that you have, writing and illustrating? Do like some stories speak to you in one way or the other? Do you see, do you have an idea and you're like, oh, this is something I definitely want to draw, or this is definitely something I want to write about?
Yeah, absolutely. I really can't explain it because I don't understand it myself. Like
Yeah.
sometimes, like I'll come with a story concept, and it starts to. It's weird. I've always had like words and pictures kind of come together. I mean, I guess that's probably why I was drawn to comics very much as a kid.
Yeah.
I always loved the word, and I always
Hmm.
loved pictures. And when I think of stories, I always think of them kind of um, both at the same time. I know illustrators who think images, and I know
Right.
authors who think in words, or
Hmm.
writers think in words. But yeah, so sometimes when I'll like a concept will start bubbling and brewing and starting to come together, and and little bits and pieces. I can when the image pops up and it's me, like it's my drawing, like it's a no brainer, and it's for me.
Right. Yeah.
But sometimes like the images are very obscure, like they're um, I see the word, I see what's going on, I get the gist of it, I know the feeling of it, but I don't really see it as clearly. And those are the
Hmm.
ones that I know, like, oh, maybe this will be fun to hand it over to another artist and let's see how they see it because it's not
Yeah.
super clear to me. So I do have the ones that are, and I'm working on some right now that are just like razor sharp, and those are the ones
Yeah.
that I gravitate towards.
Did you see like Crema basically evolving into what it became?
Uh, kind of, kind of.
Yeah.
Uh, like in my mind, like it was when you're doing a romance, like there's so much of the characters that you fall into, and you
Right.
like live their whole inner world. So Crema to me is almost like it would be almost more fitting as like this giant telenovela or something. Like this super long.
Yes. For
Uh,
sure. Yeah.
so in that way, it isn't because it's a 100-page like OGN, which is for the best, honestly, for everyone. But
Yeah.
but in my heart, like inside my brain, it's like this. It's almost like a serialized kind of thing that happens, and like, oh no, what kind of trouble has befallen our heroes this week, and what kind of
Right. Right.
woes have fallen into their lives. So that's kind of how I see it. And if who knows, maybe if it's super successful, like maybe me and Dante will get a chance to really like play with it and expand
Yeah.
it out and really have
Absolutely.
time to just like have the characters just go have coffee and
Right.
do day-to-day things. It's nice.
So that leads me into my next question, which is about character development. Especially with Esme and Yara, obviously the two main characters. How did you go about like breathing so much life into them? Because they obviously like have their own different pasts. Their personalities really shine through. How did you go about into like actually creating them?
I think of it kind of like pearl diving or something. So like you deep sea dive and you just like
Yeah.
go as deep as you can into the character's world and into the character's life, and you just like and you go there for as long as you can and just try and like get as much as you can and like pull up a bunch of stuff, and then knowing that this is comics and we have page counts, like you just try and find like the essence of what you want to say in this scene, pearl, and then like present that. So you're just like trying to dredge up as much stuff, like it's like trawling the ocean with a net. And then at the end of it, like if you got like 10, 12 pearls, like scenes that are just like that say it,
Yeah.
then you're onto something. So it takes a lot of time and dragging up a lot of like I know more about these characters and like just like I know like everything about them, and
Right.
then like okay, well that's not germane to what I'm trying to say in this scene right now, and that doesn't
Yeah.
work, and it helps me to know that because like it gets me on their side and knowing them and
Hmm.
caring for them, but trying to get that essence.
Right. Were any inspired by people that you know?
Yeah, I think honestly, I think all of them are. There's a little sliver of me in all of them, which you can lean on whenever you're not sure. Like is like okay, well that part's
Like,
true.
what would I do? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not even like I try to go like, oh, I'm going to put me in this. You'll hear the characters' voices, and sometimes it's like knowing your cousin or something. Sometimes your cousin will say something, and you're like, oh, that's a bit of my uncle coming, or that's a bit
Yeah,
of my
got
aunt
you.
coming through my cousin. And sometimes I hear a bit of me coming through Yara or Esme. So I didn't try to like base them on characters. I just like started thinking of the situation of what would someone who doesn't feel seen, who works at a cafe, who's afraid to sleep at night, and like what would she, and I just kind of pictured walking on the street in Brooklyn. It's cold. It's going to your job. I used to work at Blick Art Supplies in New York City. Like just like going and like what does that feel like? And just doing all this stuff, and you have this whole inner world, but like you have this whole list of responsibilities and blah blah blah, and you don't think you have enough time for love, but then it happens. Then what? You know? So
Right.
so yeah, so not really based on anyone in particular, but just kind of how,
Bits and pieces.
yeah, of tons of people. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite character to write about?
Oh boy, favorite character to write about. I would say maybe Yara, because she is so confident. She's a person that we all want to be, you know, so
Yeah,
that always
definitely.
feels, yeah, you know, that feels like good. It's like putting on like a leather jacket and strutting around town or something.
Right.
That's what
Yeah.
Yara feels like. So I like that, because as I have to look at myself and I have to think about my fears and my hopes and all these things that are scary. And with Yara,
Right.
those things are there with her too, very strongly, but she is much more comfortable pushing that aside. So,
Right.
I'd say Yara. I like Mad Tomas also, like his
Oh yeah.
insanity, just kind of
Yes.
like, you know, this weird writing villains are always super fun, because you could just
I
have
was
like,
gonna say, yeah, that
yeah,
sounds awesome.
yeah, it could just be
Just like go to town.
yeah, it's just like, what's the worst thing a person could do? Okay, like what kind
Right,
of,
you're like,
and
that's allowed here.
yeah, exactly, yeah, and then having them have this like point of view that's completely deranged, but just like going for it, you know, and
Yeah.
that's always fun to write.
So one of the main themes in this book is about the past still being very much alive. And we, of course, see this with the fact that Esme can see ghosts that are, you know, from the past, and how culturally significant Yara's past is to her, and how it like really informs the decisions that she makes. Why is this theme so significant? Does it have like a special meaning to you?
I'm kind of a nostalgic guy a little bit, and
Yeah.
so I'm nostalgic of the past a little, but I'm also like a history buff a bit.
Hmm.
So those things are kind of, and also thinking about, I think a lot about history in terms of uh, like North America and places like Brazil, where you have these long legacies of really dark stuff that's gone
Right.
down, and we all live with all these layers of things going on at all times, and we synthesize all these things, you know, into
Right.
our daily lives. And even if some things feel like they're, oh yeah, that was so long ago, they aren't. Like the past is present. Like it's we had the same hopes, fears, dreams as people 5, 10, 300 years ago. And
Right.
so putting myself in their shoes and thinking about the stuff that they've gone through, good, bad, and, you know, indifferent, it's very it's very present for me. Uh, so yeah, it's just something that I think about a lot.
Yeah. So why do you think people will love this book? Like what makes it so special? Why is it so special?
Why is it so special? It's hard to
You
say, because
can you
I'm
can
so
talk about yourself. It's
so
okay.
there's a lot of love put into it. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of and you know, it's about a lot of love, but there's a lot of love put into it. Like you could see
Right.
what Dante's poured into it in terms of
Yeah.
the visuals and how much he cares. And there's like, the characters are, I think, pretty relatable. Like they have hopes, fears, dreams. And they're like,
Yep.
I really care about these characters. So and Coffee, I mean, like Coffee and hauntings, and like it's just I gotta say, doing the research for this
Was awesome.
was so awesome. I was just hanging out in coffee shops and asking questions and trying to figure out how many pounds of pressure does it take to, you know, just like all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say please buy the book. You're gonna love it. It's
You definitely will love it.
I think people, I don't know. It's just so much wonderful little dollops of fun stuff.
So I have one last question for you. Obviously, you're probably an avid coffee drinker.
Addict.
What is your go-to coffee drink?
All right, I'm gonna start with like this embarrassing one that got me in,
Okay.
and then all right, so okay, I'll start with where I am now. Like I'm a sophisticated guy, you know. I'm drinking. So now I just drink, you know, Americanos or just like espressos.
Nice.
Just black. Just take it as it is.
And really taste the coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But when I first started drinking coffee, it was like caramel macchiatos. Which
everyone goes through that though. Like
great.
there's nothing wrong with that.
No. Well, I would get abused and insulted, you know, about drinking. Like, oh, it's just dessert. It's a, you know, it's a hot milkshake, you know, or a hot sundae. They'd tell me, and but I wouldn't let that rattle me. And then here in Canada we have Tim Hortons coffee, and you get
yes. Oh my God, I love Tim Hortons.
So you get the double, right? Two milk.
Yeah.
But I would get like a triple, you know. Like I would go crazy. So and then again, you know, but that was years ago, and then I've evolved into actually what it was, I realized that I wasn't drinking it for the caffeine so much as the sugar. Like sugar.
Oh wow.
So then I cut that all back, and now I'm a sophisticated coffee guy, but only because I'm running from sugar more than actually evolved. But yeah, you can taste the coffee, and it's really great.
Yeah, coffee is, I don't know what we would do without coffee.
I know. We do a lot less of it, whatever it is.
Right? Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And don't forget to check out Crema, which is available now on ComiXology. If you're an Amazon Prime, Kindle Unlimited, or ComiXology Unlimited member, you can actually read it for free. So you should go do that right now. And don't forget to check out the Virtual Con website on Amazon for more interviews and other programming throughout the weekend. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Kiwi.